938 and CNA.Asia. A couple of vehicle breakdowns in KPE tunnel towards TPE after Upper Pai Labour, and on CTE towards AYE at Ang Mo Kio Avenue 3 entrance. There are roadworks on PIE towards Changi after Kallang Way, on AYE towards MCE after Pioneer Road, avoid lane 3, and on AYE towards MCE after Clementi Avenue 2, avoid lane 1. And let's see what the weather update is like. Thunder showers expected over many areas in the afternoon. For tomorrow, thunder showers over many areas in the morning, temperature between 25 and 34 degrees Celsius.
You're listening to a CNA podcast. The fine print. Pages of legalese, of jargon, and tiny font. An insurance policy is something that we all own, but for some reason, just don't read it, let alone understand it. But what happens when that one clause that actually matters is the one you skip?
This is Singapore Tonight.
Good evening, I'm Paul Singh. Tonight's top stories. Free morning off-peak train rides in the northeast has reduced crowding by 9% 6 months into a pilot to ease rail congestion. Time is running out for a month-long fundraising bid to help people with rare disorders afford vital medical care. Only a fraction of its $700,000 target has been met so far. Also tonight, supply chain shifts in the United States could open new doors for Singapore manufacturers amid tariff pressures. Morning peak travel in the northeast has fallen by 9% 6 months into a pilot to reduce congestion on rail systems there. Acting Transport Minister Jeffrey Xiao says the shift is a win-win situation for commuters who either enjoy a less crowded train ride or a free one. Regarding the impact of rising fuel costs on public transport, Mr. Xiao notes an annual fare review exercise has not begun yet.
Public transport, the fares continue to stay the same. Nothing has changed since the broke out of the conflict in the Middle East. And so I think we will again continue to watch the situation, and if there's a need to do more, we will.
Mr. Xiao is also a part of a ministerial committee responding to the impact of the Middle East conflict on Singapore. He says the government will see what more can be done if the situation deteriorates. He adds the priority was to support those who would be affected by fuel price hikes.
Not just the drivers, but also platform delivery workers. So that was the priority. Of course, also essential services such as school buses that go to MOE schools. We also work very closely with the providers to make sure that those services were not disrupted. Also included services that supported students and people with special needs and with disabilities.
A social service agency supporting the rare diseases community in Singapore is in a race against time to raise enough money for its clients to afford vital medical care. The Rare Disorder Society has received around $80,000 so far from its month-long fundraising campaigns, which started in May. But with just a week of the campaign to go, it's miles away from the $700,000 it needs to help around 70 families.
For rare diseases, it's very, very difficult to get people to donate because it is not a story that most of the people will hear of on a daily basis. There are actually many causes out there, and because rare disease is less heard of, less known, so comparatively, it will be harder for us to raise funds through corporate to first make them understood what is rare disease about and what are the challenges of the families and patients.
As part of the fundraising campaign, more than 1,000 people took part in a walk and run on Sunday morning. The Rare Disorder Society also held a carnival amid a social media campaign to raise awareness and support for the community. The money raised is to help families of patients pay for medical devices such as ventilators and feeding pumps. They can tap this subsidy after exhausting other financial assistance schemes to help co-fund these essential equipment. The Society says without enough funds, some patients may have to rely on recycled medical equipment or receive lower dosages of treatment, which could bring further complications to their conditions.
The child could stiffen up a lot more, and long-term development of that means that they may face deformities in terms of their limbs. If there are areas where, because of equipment that is not purpose-built for the child, then you may see certain situations like scoliosis actually comes in earlier. That could actually complicate the care journey moving forward.
What are rare diseases? As the name suggests, these conditions have low prevalence in the population. But this also means a cure is hard to find, with 95% of such conditions lacking an approved treatment. Let's take a look at what these conditions are. In Singapore, it's estimated close to 18,000 people live with rare diseases. They include genetic neuromuscular disorders like spinal muscular atrophy, which causes progressive loss of muscles and motor neurons, or blood disorders, where the body cannot produce enough hemoglobin. Now, rare diseases have a broad spectrum of disorders and symptoms, and the same disease may vary in signs across patients.
Even within a certain subset of diseases, there may be various forms of that disease. So it's very hard to track, for example, like colorectal cancer, where there's one entity at a point of diagnosis and is easily trackable. So for rare diseases, it's a lot more difficult to track, and some of them get diagnosed much later, and the diagnosis may not even be certain at the point of them having a medical issue or a symptom.
Most rare diseases are a result of genetic defects and are often present at birth. However, some can occur later during infancy or during the child's growing years. And in some cases, certain diseases are so uncommon that their causes are unknown. Checkups are vital to reduce a newborn's risk of getting rare diseases. The Rare Disorder Society recommends attending premarital and prenatal checkups and to go for genetic diagnostic testing before 6 months of pregnancy, especially if the prenatal results are abnormal or if there's a family history of genetic conditions. And lastly, to screen the newborn after birth to detect such diseases early.
It's very important for us to layer on support and wrap around them in their growing years to give them the confidence that despite the setbacks of having a rare disease, that the family, the community wraps around them and offers the support that they need, both emotionally, psychologically, and of course financially as well, as they battle these diseases.
The Singapore Indian Development Association visited some 1,000 needy households on Sunday in what it calls the largest such exercise to date. It aims to proactively approach those who might be facing challenges but have not approached the community such self-help group.
These issues in many cases are very prevalent and very deep-rooted. So if we don't solve this, it just carries on with the family, and the chances of them coming out of the issue will be quite tough. So that's why we are going in to try to solve these deep-rooted issues.
Close to 500 volunteers went door-to-door across 15 constituencies on Sunday. CINDA plans to follow up with more tailored support, such as free tuition classes, hampers for young parents, and counselling for ex-offenders. Volunteers also distributed some 1,000 goodie bags with food items. One beneficiary says this exercise has motivated him to volunteer as well.
Because I was a very bad boy last time, gangsterism and all that. So I would like to give back to society, and as I'm a changed man now, So I hope that if Sita can give me a call, I would like to help my Indian community.
And still to come, U.S. President Donald Trump says a deal with Iran has been largely negotiated. His top diplomat Marco Rubio signals progress on Strait of Hormuz resolution efforts. And Philippines authorities confirmed the death of a Malaysian national from the collapse of a 9-story building that's still under construction.
Catch the Northern Lights at their most dazzling with Chan Brothers Travel. It's a snowy winter adventure like no other, where legends and fairy tales become a tantalizing reality. And the magnificent Arctic scenery unfolds before your eyes.